All right, never-Trumpers and mainstream Democrats have tried to convince independent voters that a Joe Biden victory in November will it'll just get us back to some sense of normalcy. I'm here tonight to tell you nothing could be further from the truth. Now, all you need to do is watch, 3 or 4 minutes of Biden speaking live on almost any subject, and you'll know he's extremely weak. Now, at best, he'll be a figurehead president, and without the physical, mental, or intellectual strength to stand up to the radicals on the left, whatever sense he had will be quickly overwhelmed. Now, right now, the most extreme abolish America elements on the left are emboldened. You can see it, you can feel it. They have cultural power, they have momentum, they have street energy, and now they have money. Almost 30 years ago, Bill Clinton stood up to them. He had his Sister Souljah moment, remember, in 1992? And the cultural Marxists were kept at bay during the Obama years by the sheer force of his place in history. Well, Biden has no such aura. They're going to treat him as they treat someone like, Ralph Northam. You either give us what we want or we're going to make your life miserable. And Biden will give them what they want. Now, that's bad news for the rest of us. Now more than ever, we need a president with courage to stand up to the hard left. Because if they get power, they will make Americans suffer through intimidation and bullying campaigns. Disagree with them, and you'll be branded a racist. And if you're black and you disagree with them, you're just an Uncle Tom. It's disgraceful what's going on, and it's already happening. The idea that a President Biden would return America to some quaint, imagined past is a dangerous fantasy. If he wins, the hard left wins. And that means that the culture wars are going to get a lot worse than they are right now. His administration will use the full reach of the executive branch to torment all political and cultural enemies. Anyone who has a traditional view of American history, or let's say Bible-believing Christians, observant Jews, even Muslims, religious schools, all of them will be marked for punishment. Now, statues coming down, that's going to be the least of our problems. Their aim is to pull down our whole culture, the American founding, Western civilization, and everything that sprang from it. Remember what it said?
No, 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 not God bless America, God damn America.
Well, from their way of thinking, anything you have earned is just the product of oppression. It's the poisonous fruit of the deadly American tree. You didn't build that. Now, it was foolhardy of colleges and universities to give so much power to these Marxist anti-American forces, but they did, and it's happened over decades. But now, we're all going to pay. Look out, Washington Monument? Nah, that's never going to happen. Washington Monument's not going to come down. Oh, really? It's starting to happen. And the self-loathing anti-Americanism is infecting even high schools now. Like Little Harpeth Hall all-girls school near Nashville that announced it was ending its Washington celebration because, and I quote, "It does not demonstrate the significant role that women, people of color, and other unrepresented groups play in our nation's history, and a growing number of students, faculty, staff, and alumni are expressing their comfort with this tradition." Discomfort with this tradition. Now, this line of thinking is going to spread under President Biden. Many of his backers are embracing the historical view of what's called the 1619 Project. It was published in the New York Times Magazine. Now, the goal of the work is to reframe American history as beginning not in July of 1776, when we declared our independence from Britain, but from the year the first slaves were brought to Virginia, when it was a British colony. Slavery is sometimes referred to as the country's original sin, but it is more than that. It is the country's very origin. Out of slavery and the anti-black racism it required grew nearly everything that has truly made America exceptional. Well, of course, slavery was an evil, horrific chapter in American history, and we should teach our children its full, gruesome story, you bet. along with the often lost fact that the Republican Party was founded as the abolitionist party. But instead, educational arsonists have agents inside powerful teachers' unions and school boards, and it's happening coast to coast. Educators who contend that the Founding Fathers were heroic and brilliant men are liable now to be shouted down as racists or even apologists for segregation. Now, this is a deeply cynical and dangerous view of American history. The authors of the 1619 Project are entitled to their own opinions about America for sure, but not their own facts. Prominent historians, none politically conservative, raised serious objections to the presentation of history by the Times, accusing the project of, quote, a displacement of historical understanding by ideology. Now, here's another gem from them. On the American Revolution, the project asserts that the founders declared the colony's independence of Britain in order to ensure slavery would continue. This is not true. If supportable, the allegation would be astounding. Some of the other material in the project is distorted, including the claim that, quote, for the most part, Black Americans have fought their freedom struggles alone. Again, this is all from the renowned historians. Now, despite those very big, bold red flags, school districts in Chicago, in Washington, D.C., and Newark and beyond are completely overhauling their curriculum to incorporate the 1619 Project. Here's what's going on in Buffalo, New York. The Buffalo Public Schools will infuse 1619 Project resources into the mainstream English and social studies curriculum via New York State standards alignment at grades 7 through 12. These efforts will in turn render a true history of the institution of slavery for all students, a history which is often silenced in mainstream curriculum and textbooks. If Biden wins in November, now this won't just be relegated, by the way, to Democrat-controlled cities or places like Buffalo. Now, it's going to be mandated nationally. Biden's allies have soaked it all in and are already trying to level everything that came before us to settle scores.
The United States didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it.
What communities of color and indigenous communities are facing today is the direct result of 400 plus years of intentional decisions to create and sustain systems.
Through 400 years of American history, Black oppression has always existed in this country, just in different forms.
As Vice President Biden says, you know, the wound, we actually have an opportunity to treat the wound this time. We cannot allow it to just scab over.
Remember, this worldview is quite simple. There really is no redemption for America, only punishment. And a reckoning is coming. Now imagine the Department of Education going after schools and teachers who disagree with the 1619 Project, even though those renowned historians did. Imagine the Department of Justice using the ideas of that project to decide who goes free and who gets prosecuted. Imagine all the immense resources of the executive branch being used to punish anyone who stands up to the hard left, with an angry left-wing media cheering all the way. If Joe Biden wins in November, you won't have to imagine much longer. But I'm here tonight to also tell you it's not too late. We can and we must defeat these radicals who will use Biden as their figurehead to impose their anti-American agenda on the rest of us. And we have to teach American liberals to stop this crazy radical program that's captured the Democratic Party. The American people want peace and prosperity for people of all races and creeds. They do not want poverty and punishment. We can not only win this argument, but in the process, we'll save our country. 4 more years of this worldview of Joe Biden will not only mean a lousy economy, it's going to usher in a period of prolonged antagonism toward each other and to the principles that made us the freest, most prosperous nation on the planet. And that's the angle.